Welcome, Ultimate fans, to Ultiworld's live streaming coverage of the 2021 USA Ultimate Club Championships. Folks, we have reached the semifinal round. Just 4 teams remaining in the men's division, and 2 of them will fight for one of those coveted spots in the championship match. Portland Rhino getting ready to take on Raleigh Ring of Fire in this semifinal. And, I mean, there's a lot of orange out here, but a lot of desire to try and get to that final and see who will get to face the winner of Seattle Sockeye and New York Pony. And this stream is presented by Flick Ulti. Train better, play better with Flick Ulti, as well as AGW Ultimate Apparel. You can find more from them at aglimmeringwreck.com. Keith Rayner joined in the booth for the semifinal by Tyler Kinley and Becky Ladone. Got quite a matchup. I mean, these are 2 teams that people have been eyeing as potential entrants for this matchup since early in the season. As we see the weather forecast for the day.
We've come to experience a lot of wind over the course of the days here. It's been gusty. It's been up and down. Right now, I think you'd both agree it's pretty down. It's not anything more than what people might say is a thrower's wind. It's very manageable. I don't expect any real pop-ups throwing into the wind or it having a big effect. It's really nice out. It's a little bit overcast. The sun's starting to break through, and we have a wonderful day for a big semifinals game. What do you think, Becky?
I agree, Tyler. And again, as other mornings, the wind is the breeze coming in is going to be a crosswind for the players, so not a straight upwind, downwind. It has tended to pick up as we've gotten later in the day, but the morning rounds have tended to be a little bit tame. We're starting an hour later today than the other mornings, and again, hoping the sun's going to burn off these clouds.
And all these teams have now had a chance to experience a couple of the myriad conditions that they might see here at Surf Cup Sports Complex. However, the fields have become a topic of conversation as play has continued on.
Yeah,
we had a tiny bit of precipitation this morning, could have an impact on the field quality, but we may see some slipping as teams get their cleats into the turf and pull it out of the dirt.
Yeah, the frustration has been in slipping on the turf. It feels like there's a really hard layer of ground below a top layer that is fairly thin. The cleats are catching, and the ground is almost giving way. I mean, we're seeing people slip and slide. And talking to Jonathan Nethercutt, he said, I don't cut fast enough for it to make a huge difference for me, but for guys like Terrence Mitchell or Anders Youngst, it might play a role. And it's been a frustration for Mike Denardis, the coach of Ring. He was hoping to see a different field, but here we are, and we may see it take effect throughout the game.
You see the Ring O-line getting ready to go on, and they do a little turnaround, maybe trying to turn around the fortunes of Ring of Fire in semifinals. That history is checkered, to say the least.
And we're seeing Ring of Fire's new Houston Astros jerseys. They're hoping to advance to the final round as the Astros did last night in the advancing to the World Series.
A lot tied up with that. I mean, we talked about the potential references. Ring as a brand has fashioned themselves as a bit of villains, and certainly that's the position the Astros have taken for a lot of baseball fans. So a little maybe tongue-in-cheek, but maybe they just like the aesthetic. I mean, it's hard to deny that old Astros jersey has a lot of charm to it. Meanwhile, Rhino is kind of taking on their signature look team-wide, the orange hat. Formerly made famous as the orange beanie, but now many of these players with orange caps on today atop their black kits as they get ready with the D-line for the first pull. Ian Sweeney, formerly of San Francisco Revolver, the big lefty out of Cal Poly SLO, getting ready to start this semifinal. And we are underway in San Diego. Pull fielded by Matt Guchohannes. Centers to Yannick. Poachy look from Rhino to take away the initiating play. Ring still operating out of their own end zone. Now advancing to about the brick mark. Alan Laviolette takes a pass. Approaching midfield. Saul Yannick unmarked as Rhino transitions. Youngst looking deep, trying to put in the first score of this game. Ryan Osgar secures it with a leaping catch. Ring goes up 1-0.
An interesting start from Rhino. Really flooding different lanes. We saw Henry Fisher coming all the way back from usually a deep spot to get a very short underneath pass. It looked like Ring was just sort of figuring it out, and so was Rhino. That's sort of this first point of testing what each other will do. Rhino really finding spots in lanes, trying to take away easy looks, but not pressuring maybe one or two of the looks throughout the point. There was always someone pretty much wide open. Curious to see how they progress through this. Ring untested on that O point.
And Junk's taking advantage of just the light breeze we have right now to put that disc out to space for Oscar.
So now we'll get a look at the Ring D-line. As we see Noah Saul and Jonathan Nethercutt, the quarterbacks after the turn, but they'll have to get one first. Plenty of defensive firepower on the Ring defense, including the towering spin pulls of one Eric Taylor. But tower it may, but inaccurate, unfortunately. And out of bounds, doesn't matter how far it is out of bounds, the result's the same.
Yeah, they could be an absolute difference maker, but they got to stay in bounds.
These two teams haven't seen each other in 2021. Last time they competed against each other was at the 2019 Club Championships, and it was not close. In pool play, Rhino falling by a large margin. So I imagine that they're looking to avoid a similar fate. They've been playing in a lot of close games in this tournament. Past two games have been decided by 3 total points on the way to the semifinal for Rhino. Rafi Hayes with the disc. Resets. Cross field, but not sure if the receiver thought it wasn't a target for him or if it was just behind. Throwaway for Rhino gets Ring an early break chance. Elijah Long takes off. Nethercutt pump fakes. Settles for the around, but it goes over the head of Bloodworth. And Marks gets a stat sheet block. Ted Seither picks up his Oregon teammate. Resets. Trevor Smith now up ahead. Felix Morin. Fire call from the sideline. Seither against Long. These two have matched up plenty of times in the college scene. Long poaching, nearly double teams Marks, but it doesn't help. He squeezes it through to Hayes, and Hayes gets it into the end zone. Rhino with a second possession hold to make it 1-1.
One thing we've seen in a lot of these games with really top elite matchups is some of these early points have been plagued by turnovers. We've seen it a number of times. The game often ends up cleaning up, but there we saw 2 back-to-back turnovers, both on miscues. One from Rhino there. It looked like, the underneath cut just didn't seem to know it was to him. It looked unattacked. Left for a turn there to Ring, and then a troubling throw from Nethercutt, just a little off. Bloodworth couldn't reel it in. Rafi Hayes early establishing himself underneath. A great contested catch. We're going to see him battling. It looks like Jacob Fairfax was his matchup, and I'm excited to see it.
Not a pretty hold for Portland, but that's not really their game. They're not a team that comes out and tries to play the beautiful game, so to speak. That's not who they are. And as we look at the keys to the game, I think that's one of the keys for this Rhino team is just be yourself. Be the team that you've built your identity around, and that's a team that knows how to make big plays, a team that gets fired up and doesn't have to rely on the precision that I think other teams turn to. It's one of the keys to the game that we have. For Ring, I think a big one for them is play with poise. And they are the favorite here. The pressure is kind of on them to be a championship caliber team. Terrence Mitchell, who rejoined the team today, tries to look upfield and summarily foot blocked by Owen Murphy. A cancellation from Murphy. He picks up and tosses a blading inside forehand. Now Ben Liu-May resets back to Murphy. Murphy to the end zone. David Salem with all the room he needs for a break for Rhino.
Huge play from Owen Murphy. I talked to one of the coaching staff of Rhino, Matt Malius, who's been with the program for a number of years, established player and now coach. Said, who should I look for? You got Rafi Hayes, Leandro Marks, but besides guys that we may already know, who do we want to take a look at? One of the names, Owen Murphy. Huge foot block there. I think that might have been the first play, the first point from Terrence Mitchell. I know he was not present for previous games. He comes in, he's got his jersey tied behind his back, going for a sassy look. But a tough one to start. Foot blocked, quick turn, big conversion from Rhino.
Murphy, an import from the East Coast. Used to play with Citywide Special out of Philadelphia, but it's been here with Rhino for 4 seasons, and is definitely one of the players that you hear these Rhino players talk about when you ask who are guys who are going to make a big impact. Not a player I think is known nationally, but is very respected by his teammates and opponents. So Rhino seizing the first advantage. We'll see how they play with it. Youngst centers the pull and then immediately ejects towards the deep space. Uses that to come under. Continue up to Henry Fisher. Ryan Osgar pushes it around to Dylan Lanier. Now Ring on the run. They'll file into this end zone offense that Raleigh fans know so well. Osgar up to Lanier for the front cone score.
Oscar, just a seamless addition to this Raleigh O-line. It looks like he's been playing with these guys for years.
Yeah, they've done a great job of inserting him into this group. He is an established, powerful downfield cutter. It's incredibly hard to stop what he does. It's interesting to watch Rhino play defense. Now, most teams will run either a zone set where everyone's in space. It looked like that's how they started the game. There, it looked like they were playing a matchup defense, but Daniel Lee, who is just a hunter on defense. I had the joy of coaching him when he played at University of Michigan. He was really playing free safety in the backfield, allowing at least 1 to 2 players to really poach underneath. They would trade, but that's something that Coach Mike Denardis, I'm sure, sees. They're going to try to take advantage of that. The lack of having a straight matchup defense. It's tough from an offensive standpoint because they do have that last back lurking, but there are opportunities there to find gaps.
Another soaring pull from Taylor, and while this one stays in bound, not quite the yardage length we might usually see from a player of his reputation, but a stoppage will see Rafi Hayes on the ground before the first pass goes up. It's either another cut discussing what I can only imagine is the stall count that we should come in on. It's either returning to Rhino, having played with Washington, D.C. Space Heater. Now swings it around as the wind picks up here in San Diego. Sam Frainer to Hayes. This back with Nick Jackson. Hayes goes and gets it. Jacob Fairfax in coverage, and Hayes taking another stoppage. Hayes, a key member of this O-line and the biggest name perhaps on this Rhino team. That's why he's drawing the matchup with Fairfax. Yet another stoppage will keep the pace of play plodding on this point.
Looked like Trevor Smith's cut just came through the stack, drew a pick, stopped play.
Play back underway now with Hayes. Seither asking for a throw to space. Hayes obliges. Just outside the end zone. Aaron Kelly tries to put it in.
Intercepted by Alex Davis.
Alex Davis able to knock that one away. Seither looks frustrated, perhaps considering a call, but ultimately decides not to, and so it'll be Raleigh's disc.
A very savvy poach block there from Alex Davis, and here comes Ring.
And the speedster with lots of room, but that is an ambitious throw. None other than John Nethercutt on the launching end of that. Davis bailing out of that cut to come under, but maybe the only player who might have the speed to have still caught up to it.
He has wheels, there's no doubt. Tough one, that's Nethercutt's second turnover. We are feeling the wind pick up a little bit, aren't we, Becky?
It's gusting. It's not a regular wind, but we're experiencing irregular gusts.
Nothing irregular for the Rhino offense about finding Rafi Hayes in the deep space. Common occurrence for Portland, and that sets up an assist. Rhino gets another tough hold, but counts the same as all the others.
Well, we've seen it once, we're going to see it a lot more. Rafi Hayes establishing himself as a downfield cutter. I spoke with a number of the sideline players, onlookers, and sort of the story coming into this game was Ring has a wonderful lineup, potent talent, but if anyone can match up one-on-one, it might be this Rhino team. And Rafi Hayes is one of the main targets for that. Talking to their coaching staff, he's making some Rafi plays, they call them. Just things that he can do that change the game. But we haven't seen as much of it as they might have expected. I think we might see a show today.
Had a chance to talk with Ring coach Mike Denars before this game, and he noted, yep, this Rhino O-line is not particularly efficient. We've watched them, and they give up the disc pretty frequently. So for us, the key is going to be being an efficient team, our D-line offense. You know, if we can convert at a high clip, if we can break that 50% mark on our break opportunities, we're going to feel pretty confident. So far, Rhino has been giving them the disc, but Ring's not been able to make most of it. In fact, it's Ring who's conceded a break. Johannes bobbling the pull. Junk set from Rhino again leads to a completely wide open Alan Laviolette, and he takes that opportunity to rear back a backhand and fire it to Jack Williams in the end zone. Can't be out of the defense, wanted that one to go. Ring's fired up.
Rhino's defense opting to leave Laviolette wide open on that line, and no one even there to put a mark on to stop that throw.
You see Laviolette just completely wide open. And when you see the whole field, it was even more blatant just how open he was. And then to leave Jack Williams streaking deep, I mean, you're going to take that shot. You kind of had to toe it in a little bit. This wind pushing the disc a bit. Jack Williams making a play, towing it in, but this is too easy. Look, you see the field, the whole field here. Allen just didn't have anyone in proximity. Rhino's going to have to find a way to apply a bit more pressure here.
It's a warm-up puck. I mean, everybody does the 4-line drill, get a chance to get into some of your warm-ups. I've seen pretty much every team across this complex do it. And you're thinking, maybe this isn't exactly game applicable. How many chances am I going to get to throw a throw like this? Well, Rhino gave Laviolette a chance to test out what he practiced before the game.
When you got to think Ring here in their offensive huddle is sort of discussing what they're seeing, and it's hard to even think it's more than just throw to the open guy again. Just keep throwing to the open guy, because right now there's always one.
Well, that's kind of the thing about these poachy looks is sure you give up some open ones, but all it takes is one turnover sometimes for it to be worth it. All it takes is one player to miscalculate on exactly where that open window is. So far, calculations on point for Ring of Fire. Deep shot from Rhino, and one good blown coverage deserves another.
Oh.
But that lack of coverage can't keep the disc in bounds.
Yeah, that's a wide open throw, a wonderful hug, but when it came out, it was spicy. It was real hot, fast throw, couldn't toe it in. Right at that back line. Here we take another look at it, just inches away. I mean, he was going to have to make a play regardless, and he was wide open. It didn't need to be that hot of a throw.
Well, it could be a game of inches. Laviolette's throw just a meter away from being well out of bounds, and instead it's Rhino who gets the turnover just because they had a little bit far. Strub trying to generate a turnover to get it back with a layout bid against Elijah Long. Likewise, from Leandro Marks, Taylor catches it. Hayes drifts in for the mark as Taylor gets rid of it.
You can see Rhino really overplaying defense on any deep shots, allowing some underneath ones, but the disc not advancing too far. But here we go. They didn't overplay this one.
You want to talk about advancing far, how about that? But travel is called that is going to keep this from standing, pending observer review. Searles Bose discussing with Hayes.
Take another look here.
You can decide for yourself at home, but the decision's been made here at the field. No travel for Searles Bose. That means he gets an assist instead. And I'll tell you, from the sidelines, listening to the players and the sidelines interact with that call, I'd say pretty much all of them sounded like unreliable narrators, having looked at the replay. There was conversation about a fake, and somebody on the ring said, oh, he didn't fake. That's there on the replay, but was the travel on the replay, Becky?
I would call that a travel. But I'm old school, and I think a lot of plays are travels, or a lot of travels go uncalled, or a lot of travels go overturned that are actually travels. Whether or not that affected the throw or the mark, I do think it did affect that there. I think the marker was set up and the travel happened after the mark was set up. Tough call for the observers to make if they're watching a lot of things.
I feel like in Ultimate we're kind of pushing towards a situation where the travel rules are going to become subject of conversation. You know, how strictly do we need to enforce these, and how should the rules align with what actual enforcement looks like in day-to-day play? What's the pragmatic approach to travels? I mean, I was watching teams warm up, and basically 1 in every 3 players was traveling on their throws, but in a technical sense. But the question, I think, for a lot of folks is, how does it affect play?
Play commences again, another big Eric Taylor pull.
This is his best one yet.
Yeah, that was a great one. Going to be starting on their own end zone line.
On the receiving end is Rhino's signature puller, Ian Sweeney, although he opts to let that one head out the back. He'll let Scyther.
Rhino may need to set up some guys in the back of that end zone to help field that disc. They've got 20 seconds once that disc stops play in the back to bring it in.
I'll tell you what, as a thrower, I do not like being rushed before my first throw. Eli Freeman rushing towards the end zone. Davis chasing, but the convoy behind him can't make the play. So the former Callahan winner gets the catch outside the end zone, and now Hayes with many targets. But that throw hangs on his hand. A blown opportunity from Raffi Hayes. That's probably not one that's going to go down as a Raffi play.
Certainly not. That's a shocker. They're right on the doorstep, and here comes Ring.
Laviolette bombing. Davis trying to chase contact from the defender, but not sure that Davis has called for a play on it.
Take another look at that here. A great shot coming from Laviolette. Gets that around backhand.
From our perspective, I think that was a good no call.
I agree. I agree that Davis did not play on the disc, although I think that there was a slightly reckless move on the part of the defender, but ultimately everybody comes away safely. Deep shot from Hayes, so teams exchanging haymakers, but not landing them. Those haymakers have been swings and misses for both sides. We'll see if either team decides to maybe opt for a couple body blows instead.
one thing to note here is that Ring is essentially now going downwind. Rhino was going upwind, so that makes it'll make a little bit more sense to take that shot. It's tough to work it up in the wind.
Noah Saul and Nethercutt exchanging resets before getting it to Eric Taylor, who fires another one deep. Blow for blow here with Ring of Fire and Rhino, and Ring of Fire lands one on Rhino's jaw.
No game is out of reach, but right now Ring is taken steps away. Inches from Ian Sweeney, towing it in on the Rafi Hayes huck, upwind, but barely not in. Ring on the turn, Eric Taylor, huge boost this time again to Alex Davis. Rhino on the turn, okay, playing just matchup defense, trusting their downfield, but it gives these speedsters the opportunity to just turn on the jets, and Alex Davis is gonna do it.
And our keys to the game, one of the keys for Ring of Fire was, I believe, was don't get too cute. You know, play your game, don't try to do anything too cute. I think Rhino might need to take a page from that book. A little bit too cute there on the goal line by Hayes.
But Rhino taking a timeout here to try and collect themselves. And, you know, one theme that I feel like we've seen emerge in plain daylight, you know, nothing subtle about it. A ham-fisted attempt by this Ring of Fire team to get the disc deep to Alex Davis. I mean, I think this is the preferred target. That is the third huck we've seen go Davis's way. Most of them coming from the hands of Jonathan Nethercutt. But it is clear they want to get the speedster going. And, you know, the self-proclaimed and, as far as I know, data-supported fastest man in Ultimate, Alex Davis. Who else would you want to get headed towards the end zone at full speed?
It's true, and with these downwind shots, the speed is what's going to be necessary. You know, going upwind, it might hang. You need someone leaping. You might want a Fairfax or a Fisher, but going downwind, Alex Davis is going to be that preferred target.
Davis, a player for UNC Dark Side, and a player we've really gotten to watch develop. I mean, that's one of the characteristics, I think, of this Dark Side crop that has become the base of this Ring team, is because of their programmatic success, because of their constant appearances on the big stage. These players are players we get to see enough to watch their games grow, and Davis is certainly one of them. A guy who maybe was just fast at one point, but he's added so much to that game that he's become a really dangerous defensive threat.
We're going to see Hayes and Marks back on the O-line again for Rhino here. Rhino coach Mike Payne telling us that the depth of their roster is what's gotten them this far, meaning that at this point he said that Hayes and Marks were both basically fresh coming into this game and expecting lots of reps.
And they've certainly not been activated to their full potential to start this game. I mean, I think Marks has been held really quiet, and Hayes mixed results on his part. They're trying to get Hayes in space right now, chased by Searles Bowes as he gets two hands on that high disc. Murphy takes it back. Now finds the glove-clad Marks. Marks looking for options, tries to throw Hayes to space, and the double bid goes Ring's way. Players check with one another, and then the Ring defense gets the disc. Taylor inside break. Matt McKnight gets his first touch. Another one of the young Dark Side players that dot this Raleigh roster. Taylor.
Active mark.
Matched up with Friedman. Now Long, looking to slow things down a bit. This is kind of that D2 line for Ring of Fire. A break for this group would signal danger for Rhino as Ring digs into their depth. We talked about that being another key to the game. Grind it out, use the strength of this roster up and down to try and wear down on this Rhino offense. And you see a lot of new faces coming out for the Ring line. Bloodworth with the disc as there's a stoppage, but Siraj Mataraju, Matt McKnight, Connor Russell, all getting what I believe to be their first points of the game.
Here's the wind starting to take effect. They call this timeout. Now what I've seen over and over, what defines the champions, the winners of the moment, is who can maintain possession in this wind in the reset space. Give yourself time for stuff downfield to develop, and when it's not, can you maintain possession easily without too much risk in this backfield space? They have the throwers. It sort of comes down to the system you've built in, how easy it is to just maintain possession, because this wind is starting to pick up and the ring is basically going upwind. Here we see this turn. Marks really keying in, finding Raffi, but the throw just out of reach. I think that was Searles Bowes making the play.
And I feel like I'm seeing how dependent Rhino is on Hayes to win his matchup. You know, Mark's really locked in, and he didn't really have anywhere else to go for that play. And, you know, that's a lot of pressure to put on a player. Hayes certainly has been to the task many times before, but this Ring defense has been able to put him in something of a box and make sure that the windows for getting it to that star from Rhino are small.
Marks and Hayes have spent most of the season on two separate lines in order to develop that depth, but here, putting them both on the line together.
Bloodworth hits long in the phone booth reset space. High throw for Taylor. Bloodworth yanks it down. Open for the reset. Rhino defense scrambles a bit as Long gets it just a yard or two off the sideline and then fights one through past a face guarding Hayes to Bloodworth. The signal goes up and Ring breaks. Rhino in a 3-0 hole for trailing 6-3.
Bloodworth just taking over and dominating the offense, you know, on that charge and juking out Hayes to score that goal after climbing the ladder to grab that disc that just got taken up, as we see right here in the wind.
That is not exactly what Ethan Bloodworth is known for. I mean, this is a bulldog defender, Carlton Cut alum, his first year with the team, but he's been one of their breakout players this year, in part because of his ability to make big plays for the D-line once they get the disc.
Great timeout call there by Ring to recenter and make sure they got that break.
One thing we saw in there is the slipping from Raffi Hayes. This field is pretty slick. A lot of players have commented on it. We've seen it in past games, on past streams. It's definitely playing a factor. We saw Hayes lose his footing a bit there, and I think on a couple of turns he's really adding extra chops in his steps to change direction, to not slip. It's having an effect.
So Ring just a couple goals away from a big halftime advantage on the line, a spot in the national final. Later today, the other spot will be decided. Sockeye, the #1 overall seed, taking on Pony in a matchup of our two most recent champions. So this is, to me, in a way, this is the challenger slot. Who's going to get in to get to challenge one of those titleists?
Ring right now making the case it's them. We see this being brought up for Rhino. They've gone in a vert stack over and over. It's worked for them to gain yards, but they just haven't converted the full 70 yet.
Sweeney, high throw. Hayes can't pull it in. I mean, that's the type of play you're so used to Raffi Hayes making. Saul looking to press the advantage with a hanger towards the back line, but it sails well beyond the white lines of the field. Those confines aren't expanding anytime soon.
Saul frustrated with himself. Seconds after the release, he knew it was too deep. The wind just easily pushing it past that back line. He wishes he had it back. He's been a stalwart for them.
Those outside-in hucks are always going to leave you exposed to a potential carry, and there Mark's just carrying the offense with a high grab over Mark Robner. Hayes cross field for Seither. Rhino looking to get into their red zone set. And that red zone set is often get the disc to Leandro Marks. You can see why. As he jumps in to score, Rhino gets the hold that they desperately needed.
Just great positioning on that deep shot from Marks there. Wonderful read, even with the shades and the hat on. Sun's not going to have any effect on him. Fantastic way to box out here, maintain position, and get a hand on it, and then distribute after the turn, or after the catch here.
And I'll tell you, when someone gave Leandro Marks the character creation sheet for what accessories would you like, he just checked the all box. I would like everything, please. But it doesn't slow him down. I mean, he's a player you might want to emulate. Maybe you might at home might need a few more accessories. You know, check out one of our sponsors like AGW Ultimate Apparel. See if we can get you a few more.
Marks back on the line. You know, we've heard about Rhino's push to develop its depth, but they know when push comes to shove, let's get our playmakers out there. We saw Marks already a playmaker established from that last point. He's back out there here. 6'4", can they make it 6'5"?
This Rhino team so used to being underestimated, so used to playing as the underdogs, and I think showed a lot of people what their mettle is in 2019, pushing some of the top teams to the brink. They've done that at times this year, and it may feel like, you know, maybe, oh, Raffier's, Ring can overpower them with Jack Williams, with the bigger stars, but Rhino loves that.
Here, a deep stack, horizontal from Rhino, really opening up the underneath space for a dominator set with their 3 offenders here.
And this is something that these North Carolina teams do more frequently than any team I've seen. I mean, we used to run this in high school when I was at Paideia, and I feel like it's fallen by the wayside. This spread out, let 3 players run it up the field, and if we get a shot at a power position deep look, cutters, you take off. But you can eat up a lot of yards this way, and the North Carolina system opens up room for this type of dominator set. And they rely on the chemistry of these young players who've played together so much for so long in their careers. I mean, you wouldn't necessarily say that Saul Yannick and Matt Kuchelanis and Andre Junction are the 3 most dynamic players on this O-line, but their experience together gives them a kind of sixth sense as to where they're going to be when they run this set. Now falling into a more traditional offensive look as Terrence Mitchell gets the under. Yannick marked by Wyatt Paul. Resets to Gutierrez, and his throw is high, and it's deflected, but Osgar brings it in, now sends it to the end zone for the towering Henry Fisher. Pack of players in the area. Henry Fisher goes to the skies.
Rhino doing everything in its power to put bodies on Fisher, trying to take away the easy jumping ability. Fisher's length allowing him to still elevate above the defense's hands, get a hand on that disc. That is a good Rhino D point. We almost got a turn, almost got another, but Ring hangs on.
Oscar with great focus here, if we'll see the replay.
High throw from Gutierrez. Knocked away, but Osgar brings it in, and you know he's looking to fire.
That was about to be Owen Murphy's second block of the game. Could have been a game changer, but just not enough.
And then Henry Fisher says, do you want the peanuts or the pretzels? Thanks for flying Fisher Airlines.
Look at this near block from Murphy. Read the disc well, read the play well. Saw a lot of the continuous poaching and switching from Rhino's D-line there. Fisher just getting over him.
Fisher's the height that the Raleigh O-line needs. So the Rhino coaching staff telling us that a possible gap in the Raleigh offense was their height. So they're too short. Well, Henry Fisher making up for that for the other 6 guys on the line.
I'm going to tell my kids that Henry Fisher was 6 guys tall. I mean, his legend grows. Also, what's growing is the lead for Ring of Fire and putting Rhino in a really difficult spot. I mean, not only does Ring have the lead, but that was a big momentum-changing play. I mean, that you get the block there, things feel very different. Instead, you give up the sky. Jack Williams crossing over for Ring of Fire, signifying the value of this point to Raleigh. Smith up ahead to Hayes. Fairfax dutifully chasing Hayes around the field. Contact on the mark, probably resets the count for Friedman. Inside break by Seither, well behind. Some contact from Laviolette on the play and injury signal coming from the receiver. That's Sam Frainer, looking a little worse for wear.
Looked like there was some contact on that inside throw, on for the receiver there, having to try to come back, make a play, reaching behind him. Here's the inside throw, and then there's the contact. Looked like Alan Laviolette, not known for being an overly physical player, just trying to make the play on a receiver that has essentially stopped to try to get backwards on a disc thrown behind him.
Disc flew over here. I don't know where it went. Yeah, that must be it. Must be it. So it's there. Okay, so as a sub, when you're ready, you tap the ground, and then we're in play.
Those short throws behind can put the players in fairly dangerous situations. You get two players moving at high speed, trying to go in different directions. Frainer, smiling as he came off the field, clearly in some discomfort, but hopefully he'll be all right. Another break chance for Ring. The inefficiency of the Rhino offense really slowing them down. And in contrast, just speeding Ring up. Power position for Williams. Uses the fake to set up the swing. Nethercutt has Laviolette taking off. Uses that to set up the around. And this is what we talked about on our previous Ring of Fire stream, Tyler Kinley. I mean, we are seeing Ring exchange that initiative very effectively. Although Williams, with a late stall, misses a wide open Ethan Bloodworth. You hate to have your crossover O-line guy be the one who picks up the turn. Williams maybe with a chance to pick up the block, but Marks holds him off.
What a throw from Eli Friedman. I don't think Marks' hips were even turned in the direction he ended up having to run to catch up to this. I think everyone was shocked, maybe Marks himself. Williams as well, trying to make the play, but Friedman just throwing almost a trust shot. These are the kind of throws that define a Rhino team, because you don't see almost any other team taking these looks. Here we see Jack Williams trying to connect with Bloodworth, the turn, another throw a little behind him. And look at this throw. By the time the camera found Marks, that was about the time he had turned his hips to start running.
Just throwing the receiver. I hate to say throwing the receiver open because he wasn't that open. Marks able to fight off Williams, get his body between Williams and the point of reception.
Look, when we talk about teams doing things that are unexpected, that's the kind of thing we're talking about. I mean, I can tell you Jack Williams did not expect that throw to go up. I'm not sure who expected that throw to go up because it's completely unconventional. It's just a throw to an area that's open, knowing your receiver can and might just get there first.
I bet the only people who expected that to go up are the people on this Rhino team. I mean, that is part of their game, is we're going to play it a little bit differently than everybody else. So all the time you spend prepping for other offenses, it just doesn't work as well with us. We're going to be the only ones who know when that convention is.
We talked about the keys to the game, playing to their identity, and that's it. That's it right there, and they're going to score those goals. They're going to get those plays, and it keeps the defense on their toes because they just don't know what's coming.
And it takes me right back to, it's not going to be pretty. If Rhino wins, if we play a pretty game, it's going to be Ring by a lot. If we play an ugly game, that's where Rhino wants to be.
Who knows if they'd call it ugly?
Rhinoceros might have a different perspective on exactly what makes for ugly and pretty. Not known necessarily for their grace, but I mean, the name is Rhino Slam, right? Nothing graceful about that.
Here comes the Rhino Slam defense. D. Lee on an island downfield.
But he's really fronting Osgar. He feels comfortable with Osgar taking off deep. Henry Fisher taking off deep, about as comfortable a target as Ring's going to have on this O-line. David Seelan, who is in a lot of ways the stopper for this Rhino team. He's been quiet in this game. Seelan considers a bid on Fisher, but instead stays on his feet. Fisher goes around. Vert stack from Ring. Anders Junks towards the front cone, where he's got to timeshare this event. And then the little inside break for Ryan Osgar. Not flashy, but gets it done.
That's a very, very good O-point for Ring's offensive mentality. I mean, they went through and through and through. They took the looks. They didn't overstretch what they were taking. There were opportunities to go deep that they looked off. They worked through their handlers. They inched their way down the field. You know, we saw some mistakes earlier. That shot to Bloodworth on the inside that was a little behind him, maybe a little dicey of a throw. They've reeled those things in. There were a couple times they could have taken shots. You noted Daniel Lee really fronting Osgar. That could have gone up. But here Ring demonstrating patience and discipline, inching their way, pays off. Half.
Ending the half with a real stark contrast in styles of play. And you know, they say styles make fights, but this fight has been a bit of a beatdown in the first half.
We've seen Rhino really lean on their stars. I've seen Owen Murphy out there a lot, Leandro Marks, Rafi Hayes, Daniel Lee. Trevor Smith has been a dominator for their downfield initiating cutting. They're putting these guys back in because they know this is do or die, this is the season, and they're leaning on this talent that they have to match up against a very, very deep Ring roster.
Replete with talent, these two teams, but Ring of Fire establishing an early lead in, as you said, a do-or-die situation. We'll find out which team will do in the second half.
The last 50 years have seen a lot of positive change
around a whole range of important issues.
And some things remain reassuringly unchanged.
Like the spirit of our game.
Ultimate is 50 years young
and still a perfect circle
of fair play,
athletic pursuit,
and camaraderie.
In fact, Ultimate was a social network
before social networks even existed.
Respetamos nuestras diferencias
and understand the value that they add.
The revolution of the disc in flight continues to prove
that there's nothing we can't achieve
when we
pull together.
Long live Ultimate.
Larga vida Ultimate.
Long live Ultimate.
Beforehand, I wouldn't have thought myself much of a defensive player.
I would have called myself a basket case.
Yeah, I got my first layout D.
Now, I feel like when I make a mistake, it doesn't necessarily become the only thing I think about for days.
I get a block at least once a week now.
I feel way better when I play Ultimate. And I think I perform way better under pressure as well because of this.
Halftime here at the semifinals of the men's division. Let's go down to Patrick Stegemeller with Ring of Fire head coach Mike DeNardis.
Here with Mike DeNardis at halftime. Mike, some success with that force middle defense you ran there. We're able to pile some breaks on in the first half. What are you seeing from Rhino's offense that led you to think that would be a successful defensive game plan?
You know, we just want to challenge them to try to make a lot of throws, and they've had some success breaking it around at times, but I think we've done a really good job challenging them to reset the disc a lot and change the field a lot, and even when they do, we switch it back the other way, and it's been pretty good, pretty positive.
Now, your offense gave up an early break, but was able to lock it down. Anything you saw them improve on over the course of that half? Any windows that you saw, like, oh, now they're hitting that has been working?
I think we just have to be a little more patient with the disc. I think we took a couple shots that were unnecessary. When we have the legs on them, I think it's kind of obvious we have legs on them, and we can run our resets and run, you know, small under throws and to yield bigger throws instead of just trying for a hero throw here and there. I think that's what we need to improve on in the second half.
That D-line you threw out in an attempt to break for half there. Is that your universe D-line if this one tightens up at the end?
I mean, we have so many good players. It just depends on, you know, on the field at the time. If I like what I see, I'm just going to keep them, see how they do.
All right, that's Mike DeNardis. Back to you.
Thank you, Pat and Mike, for that interview. Ring of Fire up 8-5. We'll be back for the conclusion of the semifinal and see who will reach the championship match.
Grandpapa had a metal plate from his time served in the war.
Bounce on the throw to Montague, and he continues to the speedy free child.
As little children we would gather round. To us he was a giant. But when it came to taking medicine,
Double wide draws first blood here at National.
he told me, "Ray, what would you say if I could build a little vessel that could take us to another time and place? What would you say?
Incredible grab.
Bryce Dixon takes to the air. Simon Montague with a bomb. Easy collection for later. The left push pass finds Underhill.
The cannonballs and muskets and the weapons they used were anything but modern. So grab a drop and
Great throw into the end zone for Koo.
He tell us what would you say if I could build a little vessel that could take us to another time and place? What would you say if the burning of the engines could be powered by the smile on your face? What would you say? Would you follow me, follow me, follow me, follow me round the way?
Trent Dillon knocks that one away. Often rifling a backhand for Froome. No chance for the defense there. Knapp threw a perfectly flat forehand out in front. And Hankey dances open right out of the stoppage. Now Oscar with an away shot for Simonelli. Oscar with another fading away shot to the end zone. And Oscar sneaks it past the defense.
Cheeky look from Oscar there.
Sakai looks to take advantage with a deep shot to Trent Dillon. And Trent Dillon going upstairs for the grab. And a dirty throw there from Boone. Tremendous second effort catch. An ambitious look. Jay Frew to the back of the end zone and goes up over Misha Bracedotter. Huge hammer goes over the top of the defense. Flying coach block. Cody Wood looking deep from that front cone, and the full field shot. Hugh gets the bookends. Freechild takes off, and Montague lofts one to the end zone, and the speedy Freechild tracks it down. Snell sends a forehand deep And an improbable catch by Kolchak turns into an assist. Putting it up deep, looking for Hibbert. He's the biggest man in the area, but there are many others. And a classic Morgan Hibbert play. Jump ball, John Randolph against Greg Cousins. Seattle Sockeye dispatches Sub-Zero 15-9 in the quarterfinals. For the last time here for the San Diego Surf Cup Sports Complex, welcome back. Second half of the semifinal round, men's division, as we take a look at the full bracket. After this, we'll all be in Mira Mesa Stadium for the rest of the day and into tomorrow. The winner of this one will take on the winner of Sockeye Pony. You can see the previous quarterfinals matchups. Plenty of surprises along the way. The fall of Chicago Machine, the number 2 overall seed, probably chief among those. At least in this division. Plenty of surprises still to come in the other divisions.
Yeah, the downfall of Machine surprising everyone here. Most of all, I'm sure, Machine.
Ring of Fire is hoping to avoid any surprises in the second half. They'd love for it to just go to script. But that's not really how Rhino plays. They don't play to script. That is not their identity in any way. More of a ad-libbing sort of team. We'll see if that improvisational style can fight them back into this game. Murphy with the disc now.
I like Rhino's spacing on offense. They're finding good looks downfield, and their throws and throw them open, or just get these pinpoint shots. Spoke too soon. 2 pinpoint, tight little window, hot shot right in the gut. A little too spicy. Turnover, Ring.
Deep shot. Ring firing for Taylor. Far too far.
Taylor, another appealing target deep. He's known for playing both sides of the disc. Here moved to the D line, but just a little bit too much.
So another chance for the Rhino offense. We've seen them struggle to score on their first possession, and now struggling to score on the second. Just a drop by Murphy. Ill-timed. All drops are, but this one in particular, given both the field position and the situation. Long cross field for Bloodworth. He tries a drop of his own. Gets 3 shots at the catch and some dispute on if he was able to make it. Strub, so self-assured that it was a turn that he takes off deep. Hayes tries to throw it to him, and it just sails. So a sloppy start to the second half for these two teams. Taylor up ahead to Bloodworth. Carleton compatriots looking to fight the disc into the end zone. But it's long to Saul. UNC instead gets on the board. For Ring of Fire, another break. That Ring of Fire feels like it's closing in right now on Rhino, and there is nowhere left for them to go.
Both teams trying to just hang on to these tight shots, these hard windows in this wind. Saul there, getting his hand around. Pretty tough catch, but holding on. It's been the story here. Rhino not able to hold on to some of these, some tougher than others. Looked like a relatively easy under, just doinked. Gonna leave a lot of frustration knowing he can make that play, and then a shot just sort of out into space, seemingly to no one. Rafi Hayes looking a little surprised at the choice from the cutter to not go, I guess, where he expected. It's a tough one from Rhino. On the defensive side, they have been just baiting over the tops. I don't know if you could see Alex Davis on the far side of the end zone, almost out of frame when we go to a large wide pan shot because he's just so open. But that seems to be part of Rhino's plan. They want to bait open shots and try to overplay other players because this wind has been tough to hit. There, though, Ring finding an answer.
Of course, hard to think about this Rhino team without thinking of the famous documentary Chasing Sarasota. And while the championships are no longer in Sarasota, a bit of a Sarasota feel in the back of the end zone as players are gathering here at the field complex to watch the conclusion of this semifinal. In that old atmosphere, packed sidelines, maybe that can add some energy to Rhino because good offense is not going to be enough. Although we're seeing it on display, that drops in for the back line for Hayes. His struggles have been a part of this Rhino story so far. Getting him back on the board would be a big help.
A throw from Trevor Smith. He's been a standout to me. He's been one of their primary initiating cutters downfield in the open space, consistently getting open for unders there, throwing a really, really nice forehand downwind to the streaking Rafi Hayes. We're gonna see more of Rafi going forward.
Rhino were able to focus this second point of the half after just a real sloppy first point of the half, and now their defense needs to turn it up.
Rhino able to generate 6 break chances thus far in this game, but converting only 1 of them. Becky, what do you think this defense from Portland needs to do to try and get the disc out of the hands of Ring of Fire? There is no other path to the comeback available other than getting the disc back on defense.
I do think they need to force Raleigh to throw it deep. I think that's where that's going to happen. With the wind gusting here and there, I think that's their best opportunity to get one of the throwers to possibly throw it out of bounds. You know, Raleigh's been able to play small ball all weekend here and throughout the season. I think they got to make him throw it deep.
I think they'll be baiting it here. This downwind has been tough to be precise in.
And with the clock nearing midnight, with it getting late pretty early for Rhino, they're crossing over Hayes and Marks. We said turn to your stars could be a key for this team, and they're out here. But speaking of stars, Ryan Osgar dropping one in for Jack Williams. They say, you think you've got star power, don't worry, we've got something to match it. Ring of Fire scores yet again.
That was baiting them to put it deep. It's tough to throw in this. Osgar proving not too tough. I can do it. And that's a classic Osgar throw. He's become known throughout the division for those arcing shots that really just land in the receiver's breadbasket, going away.
Right, a
really
great understanding of the edge of the disc and how to put that into space.
You can see the receivers love it. Jack Williams, smile there saying, thanks, man. Made my job easy.
And that's when I talked to Matt Kuchelanis before the tournament about integrating these new players, getting Jack Williams back, getting Nethercutt back, about getting Ryan Osgar, one of the only players who hadn't really played with the team before, about what it was like to integrate that. He laughed. He said, Ryan Osgar is basically the easiest player to play with that I've ever played with. I mean, he just makes the game easier for his teammates with his ability to create those opportunities as a thrower. Jack Williams able to take advantage. And as a guy who's worked very hard for a lot of his success, Jack Williams, I'm sure happy to have an easy one like that.
Osgar's throwing talents clear, but a lot of players talk about his ability to get open in wide open space, and I'm sure that makes it easy. It's very clear to anticipate when he can get open. You just put the disc out to him, and he's going to be able to connect something downfield.
Brutal there to me for Rhino to lose a crossover point like that so effortlessly, but I guess it's nice that Markson and Hayes did not have to play a lot of extra minutes with that quick score. Reset option, really difficult one, but completed for a big loss of yardage. Gabe Nobis able to fight it back, but intercepted by Taylor. Ring up to Dameron. Dameron, one of the youngest members of this Raleigh unit. Rhino essentially fighting for their lives here as Taylor makes the tee for the timeout.
A fist pump from Noah Saul, who I have to say I hand it to a lot at this point. Noah's defense on that reset pass forced it backward, and it really extended the distance from the downfield cut. That allowed Eric Taylor the room to sort of read it, make that play. Just a great timeout call.
And I mentioned speaking with Matt Kuchahanis. Let's hear what he had to say before the tournament.
Honestly, it's been quite easy. You know, guys like John Nethercutt and Jack Williams and Ryan Oscar are like really easy to sort of fit in seamlessly, and especially Jack and Nut are guys we're really familiar with, and you know they're really familiar with what we're trying to do. And Ryan's honestly one of the easiest people to play with that I've ever sort of encountered. So, been really easy. Jack's first step is elite. He's a tremendous decision maker. He's a deadly combination of speed and quickness. He brings a calm intensity and confidence. Like I think of Jack as being a top 5 player in the men's division, and so when I walk out on the line with Jack, I'm like, wow, we have that guy on our team. Like sometimes when I'm nervous about playing another team and I'm thinking a lot about their players, I try to put myself in the shoes of their coaches and captains, and this is something that Saul inspired me to do. And it's like, think about our team from their perspective. How in the world do I figure out, how do I deal with Jack Williams? And that makes me feel a lot better, and that gives me confidence.
Great to hear from Kuchahanis, who is on the sideline as he watches his teammates get to the end zone yet again. The offense happy to rest as the Ring defense carries them towards the final. Taylor with the hammer for the assist.
It's a tough hammer to complete in this wind. He does it with aplomb. Passing a bidding Eli Friedman. Rhino giving it everything, but Ring holding on. Ring looks very, very good right now.
Raleigh has just been picking up steam over the course of this game. With that lead, it could have been easy to fall back on your heels a little bit, let Rhino strike coming out of this halftime break, but instead, Ring's just been pouring fuel on the fire.
That they have. They are searing past a very competent Rhino team who came in with a lot of confidence. I think they have proven in the past few years what they can do. They've worked a lot on their depth, and they came in hungry knowing they can compete. However, things haven't been connecting the way that they might have expected. There's been some sort of odd turns, some drops, some spicy shots inside that just came out of people's hands. We've seen upsets. We've seen comebacks, but 11-6 is a big deficit. What do you think, Becky?
I think that Ring's gonna walk the line and pull it through to finish this game.
I don't know. Their defense has had this Rhino offense in Folsom Prison pretty much throughout. There's nowhere to go, and now, it's looking like a life sentence. Hayes underneath. Again, we're seeing Ring dig into the depth a little bit, and this could be even a play that pays off further down the line, further into the bracket, of which there's only one game.
My goodness. Seth Weaver, really nice defense on this reset, making life tough. Rhino trying to fight upwind.
Oh, and you want to talk about a specialist, Seth Weaver, rookie on this team. This is what he does. Your job is to go out there and chew up handlers, and there he's able to help generate a turnover. Mark Robner on the downfield end of that. Weaver getting ready to pick up again. And this would be a backbreaker if Ring can score it. Going into the reserves to do so. Now the deep shot from Searles Bowes. Trevor Lynch against Ian Sweeney in the air. Lynch with the two-hander, and that could be the dagger.
The dish to Mark Rovner. This is a line that's not going to see the field a ton throughout games, and here they are getting it done. I cannot tell you how good it feels for a team to put a line out there that doesn't often see the field, and just to watch them get it done. See a guy like Weaver shut down a reset, immediate deep shot. It's exciting. This Ring team is excited. It's a tough one for Rhino to stomach.
Oh yeah, you got to know that the guys are fired up you see three players who may be on their first point of the game, and they all are involved in the score, and both forcing the turnover and the score. You get Weaver picks it up, you get Searles Bowes with the huck, but it's Trevor Lynch on the receiving end, and Robner who finishes off. I mean, that's going to fire up the team, and it's going to really, really drag down Rhino spirits.
You got Rhino's O-line, Eli Friedman bidding high, and the defender there just inches away. Their heart's in it, but their legs just aren't doing it for them.
Ring of Fire looking like Black Panther in the Marvel movies right now, just dragging the Rhino to the ground. I don't know if they're going to be able to get up from that.
We can't count anyone out this week. This weekend has been full of comebacks. This one, a big deficit. Ring looking very strong.
And the second time we've seen that, one from each team, a bobbled pull pulled off the ground, but eventually fielded. Marks around. We'll end up to cutter downfield. Frainer, who has returned to the game since taking that earlier injury sub. Always good to see him back. McKnight getting ready to check in.
McKnight just swatting the disc.
And stoppages play reinitiates illegally. And I can't say that Rhino's body language speaks to a lot of optimism as to the outcome of this one.
They're going to lean on guys like Rafi Hayes here.
Hayes outside in, and maybe leaning on him too much as he topples over on that turnover, figuratively speaking. We mentioned that it's a lot of weight on an individual player to be asked to take on a role that size, and I actually might disagree with you, Tyler. I think that if they're going to come back, they're going to need some other players to step up and make some big plays in the same way that we just saw the depth of this Ring team come through for them when they needed it. Only Portland will have to do it with a ton of pressure weighing down on them. Bloodworth resets over to Saul. Disc ahead. First touch, I believe, for Andrew McKelvey. Bloodworth firing. Connor Russell, lots of room. And it's a layup for the Wilmington receiver, although he's going to have to finish off that layup with an assist of his own. I want to come up with it. We talked, Becky, about the term for bookends when you throw the assist. How about that one, where the assist is really just an accent mark on the end of the deep catch? We need a name for that assist.
I think the name for that is lucky he didn't spike it, because I don't think the receiver knew he wasn't in for a number of the steps. Potentially a travel call that could have stopped play and maybe given a chance for some of the Rhino defenders to catch up, but I think most of the players on the field acknowledge that was a goal, or at least a gimme.
I can tell you, Rhino looks down and out because they did not catch up. They saw that throw go up. It looked like they were sure it was a goal even when it came back. It was a 3-on-1 in the end zone. Rhino needs to find some measure of something to juice them back up here.
Tyler, it could be time for Coach Mike Payne to put that velour tracksuit back on. Get these guys back the identity they started the game with. They were, before in the pregame, they were loose, they were smiling. It's hard to smile now. Getting whooped is like kissing your sister unless you're, Greg and Marsha Brady.
Well, for those of you out there who know Coach Mike Payne, usually he's been known to be all business. And I think one of the things I really appreciate about him as a coach is that he fully invests in the team he's with. He was much more businesslike with a revolver team that reflected that type of vibe. But here with Rhino, he showed up in a velour suit, painted fingernails. I mean, he is fully invested in this vibe of a Rhino team that maybe just likes to hang loose. So he's committed, and he's committed to this team. He's been putting in the work. They've got some work to do here to make up a drastically bad deficit.
Right now, they're just grasping at straws. I think that's been one of the challenges is there isn't something that they can really grab onto and say, this is the thing that can bring us back, because nothing's really working. And if maybe they can find that port in a storm they might be able to get something together, but with no purchase underneath them, it's just a constant backslide. Murphy, stall count climbing, fights it around. Austin Kelly with the disc. Both teams expanding their rosters a bit. Sweeney, high release out of the big lefty. He's had a quiet day as this D-line has been rendered mostly moot. A diving catch from Nick Jackson. Seems like it's not clear yet whether or not that'll stand.
It looked up to me, I gotta say, Rhino here, they're pivoting, they're fakes, they've got a lot of options, they're squeezing it in tight spaces, but it's overturned.
Tough break here for Rhino. Hopefully we get to see a replay of that.
And if they're looking for something as a trigger point to get back into this, I mean, that kind of play could have been it, and instead it becomes this demoralizing moment that just feeds into that demon on their shoulder, just eating away at their confidence. Meanwhile, everything is just singing for this Ring team. Weaver past a bidding mark of Friedman. This O-line for Rhino, and they have been out there working.
Yeah, I can't get over how fresh the Raleigh players still look, churning, and Rhino looks, they look fatigued. These guys have been on the field quite a bit.
I mean, this was one of the things we talked about, could be a way for Ring to take control of this game, and it really has, is they have just grinded this O-line down. You know, because Rhino is not a particularly efficient team, they play a lot of possessions as they get the interception back, and Hayes tries to set up something deep. Now it's Sweeney instead. Gets behind Mataraju, has lots of room, and now trying to throw open Hayes, and it pops in the air. And just, again, every moment that feels like it could be something to get Rhino back into this game goes awry, although the call from Hayes, somewhat dubious in my eyes, as he tries to get the score.
Classic scene.
Okay, observer, it is a foul. You came in and pushed him up. Maybe uncatchable, but I'm not 90%, so it's his disc.
Again, a classic scene there. The debate centering around the well-known Mitch Dengler ruling in favor of Rafi Hayes. It was maybe not catchable, but the sliver of a chance, putting it in Hayes' hands here.
I stand corrected by the Dengler justice. Far be it for me to disagree. So Hayes with the disc on the goal line. Can Rhino find that steady point that they've been searching for in the crashing waves of this Ring of Fire team? They find a way into the end zone. A lot more work to do for the Pachyderms if they want to get back into it.
Well, I think justice was served one way or another. Two calls that go to the observer in the end zone down there. Rhino ends up with the goal, which I think they deserve.
And the counterpoint to, Ring of Fire gritting this game out, making it slow, making it a lot of work for the Rhino offense is perhaps if Rhino's offense can start punching in clean holds. I mean, if they could get a couple of 4 or 5 throw scores, something like that, that might be enough to get some momentum building. The problem is they just don't have a lot of room. Holds are just not going to get it done. They need basically breaks from here on out.
And after that point, Rhino certainly celebrating their goal, but Ring equally celebrating their defensive line's ability to generate turns, to work the disc. I was incredibly impressed with their patience. It ended up in a turn. They did not score, but they forced a Rhino team to work and grind, and that pressure, that consistent having to eke out your legs over and over, they're going to have to rely on those guys to go back out there. That's a net win, I'm sure, in in Ring's eyes.
So Ring's offense now facing a poachy look from Rhino, and I like doing something that's going to take some gambles here for the Rhino defense. Try and make Ring uncomfortable, make him have to make decisions, make him think, and see if you can just get something. And here, penetrating the cup. Rhino defense trying to find any throw that they can spring on.
Pay attention.
Johannes almost gives him one.
Pay attention to Yannick drifting around. They are really trying to key in on him. His ability to find gaps, room, get the disc.
And Rhino's transitioned to a match defense at this point.
Yannick settling things down as that transition subsides. Lanier uncovered. Williams cross field and a little flip into the end zone from Yannick to Johannes. Ring just one more step from a berth in the final, breaking the semifinal curse.
Johannes feeling good. This Ring team just rolling along. Great shot inside. How many times have we seen that? Yannick to Hannes.
And allow me to be romantic for a moment here. I mean,
please.
You can picture these two kids who've been playing together since they were like almost in diapers. And you can picture them in the backyard just being like, oh, it's semifinals right now. Yannick moving the disc around, flips it to Johannes, and they win the game. And they get to live the dream. You know, if Johannes talks about, it's the most fun, it's the thing that makes him love Ultimate is being able to play with his best friends. And, you know, it warms this cold heart to see two guys who put in the work get to achieve it together.
It's true, and it's a special thing. I think that they have noted that this year they pushed through the trials and tribulations of a challenging AUDL season all the way to a championship. They all noted how special that was to really play for themselves, play for each other. And I was there when they won. They talked about coming here and winning this. That is 100% in their sights, in their minds.
And
they're feeling it.
I flash back to 2019, semifinals, Sakai with a chance. Deep shot going up for Rhino now. Jump ball, some contact on the play, may stop. And I flash back to 2019 in that semifinal, Ring of Fire, trying to stop Sakai, and a blown switch between Johannes and Saul Yannick leads to the game-winning goal, or game-losing from Ring's perspective. And I gotta think somewhere in their minds they remember that moment.
Here we see the debate between Felix Morin.
Only one has to agree, so if he wants to go. Is it rolling? It's a foul. We're here. Stall.
McKelvey. Felix Morin, another player that the coaching staff noted to me to keep an eye out for.
18 years old.
18 years old. On the big stage.
Oregon State player in his second year with Rhino, so a nice prospect for them to continue to build. And yeah, on the big stage, playing nearly every online point for Rhino. And certainly you got to imagine there's going to be some lessons learned in this one. Regardless of how it goes, he gives it over to Hayes for the score. So Rhino not done yet. Every comeback's got to start with one goal. Yeah?
Every comeback has got to start with one goal. They're going to need 7 more.
I'm sure they'd love if we could quickly institute a 2-point line or something.
4-point line.
Every point from here on out, game point for Ring.
Just a quick check-in for the other semifinal happening at this time. It's tied 10-10 with Seattle's BFG, knotted up with Seattle Mixtape on the field behind us. So if you've got 2 monitors, 2 screens, time to check them both out.
It's a Seattle battle. The regional final rematch here in the semifinals. Both teams know each other well. battling it out. Here we have Ring and Rhino battling it out.
Ultiworld proud to be able to bring you both of those streams simultaneously for the first time in history. We have tons of games filmed in our video package on top of the many, many streams we've been able to put together, not only from this tournament, but this season. We couldn't do it without the help of our subscribers, and we're right in the middle of pushing through the goal of our subscriber drive. If you want to help us get there, if you enjoy the coverage we've been doing this week and that we will continue to do as Ring of Fire continues to maintain possession even despite some challenges. If you want to help support us, ultiworld.com/subscribe. Find out how you can do that.
Spencer Latarski applying really good pressure to this reset.
And you love to see the D-line coming out here and still working.
Aaron Adamson adding a little bit of body to the bump on Laviolette.
Laviolette, the only West Coast guy, I think, on this Ring of Fire team. Played with Western Washington. Resets over to Youngst.
Laviolette unfazed.
Yeah, he's used to a little physicality. Youngst up the line. Ring closing in on that goal that would send them to the final. Mitchell, the flip. Raleigh marching towards the end zone. Yannick to Williams. Fisher, arms wide, asking for a goal. Instead, it's Matt Gunjohannes. Ring of Fire. The semifinals curse is dead. We're going to the finals.
Ring on to the finals. I'm sure they expected it. They might have been the favorite this game, but they proved they were the better team, 15-8 over a very strong Rhino. Tough end to their season.
It's fitting for Gunjohannes to catch that score. He does so many of the small things right. You see him fielding those tough pulls, putting his body in front of them from start to finish of that point, doing a lot of the little things right.
A selfless player and emblematic, I think, of the new age of Raleigh Ring of Fire. You know, a Callahan winner, incredibly respected player in the division, and gets the game-winning goal. I'm sure his guys are glad to be a part of that, but mostly glad that they're going to have a gold medal chance here. It's been a long time coming. You mentioned that they were able to win that AUDL championship, and I've never seen a team that feels more connected to their AUDL franchise than the Ring of Fire team to that Raleigh Flyers team. Can they, I mean, I hesitate to call it a double peak, but could they pull it off twice? I mean, they have a real shot at it, and I'll tell you what, Tyler and Becky, they look more confident than I've ever seen them.
I do agree, and I would consider it a double peak. Emotionally, for sure, they went to championship weekend. They held on strong through the doubters. People did not think they were going to pull it out. They did against a strong New York team. Here, they are just rolling, and they've been tested. Revolver took them deep into that game. Revolver inches away from beating them. However, Ring, again, holds strong, and that game just coming on a Thursday pool play game, last game of the round. What a wonderful test for them. I can tell you, they came out of that game knowing they had the potential to beat anybody, and they could last through any test. Here they are, finals bound. I can tell you, they are confident.
Winning games is a learned behavior. Winning games, closing out games. I think a lot of these players are taking the momentum they got from winning with the Flyers. You know, crossing the barriers that they haven't crossed in the past few years. And I think that they're taking a lot of the momentum from the AUDL season into this club season.
It's a young team. They have a lot of players who've played a lot of big games at the college level, the youth level, many who've represented their country at the under 20 level and under 24 level. I mean, there's a lot of seasoning on these young players. And when you've got a team full of Carleton and UNC guys, I mean, they have been there before, and they've learned those lessons of how to win over time, and we're seeing it pay off now. We're seeing those seeds that have been sown bear fruit. You see the updated bracket, pencil in Raleigh Ring of Fire to the final. It's been a long time coming to be able to put that name in that slot, and we'll find out later today who will be lining up 70 yards away from them come tomorrow. Will it be New York Pony? Will it be Seattle Sockeye? Let me put you on the spot. Becky, who you got? Sockeye or Pony?
I got Sockeye taking that on a 2-point with a spread of on a 1.5 line of 1.5.
Oh, giving us a line. What do you think?
Wow. Well, my background, you know me. I got to take my boys Sockeye.
You don't have to.
Well, I'm gonna. I can't be on a broadcast and say anything else. And I don't, I think this Sockeye team is incredibly impressive. You talk to people around the tournament, the challenge for them to see what you can do against them is they're not turning the disc over very much. I can tell you, though, Ring of Fire, if you asked them, I would bet money, if you asked them, who would you rather face, they would say, we do not care. We do not care. We will face anyone. We will take on any test. It's a belief in their own system. It's a belief in the leadership on the team.
Excuse me,
the
I'm sorry.
leadership
We're going to
of
do
Mike
an interview here in
Denardis.
just a minute. No headset or anything?
I'm not sure that I'd buy it.
I don't
though.
think. I don't
bet
need a
you
headset
these
or
guys
anything.
want
Do you?
Sockeye.
Do I?
Not only do they want their revenge,
apparently not.
but they want no questions.
Are you gonna?
They don't want anybody to be like, well, you didn't beat Sockeye. Like, do we really know you're the best team? They're not going to want any doubt left. They want the exclamation point. They want it all. They want to come for the king's head. And right now, that's Seattle Sockeye. So I don't know if I believe it. Let's go down to our Flick Ulti player of the game, Ryan Osgar, with reporter Edward Stevens to hear about Osgar and his team's tremendous performance.
I'm here with our player of the game, Ryan Osgar. Ryan, it's your first year on Ring of Fire. What do you notice about the team's culture and mindset?
Culture is a lot of really weird dudes, and I love that, and a lot of unbelievably good Ultimate players. The depth of this team is something like I've never played for before in my life.
Right, and speaking of depth, you've got a lot of pieces on that O-line who seem to take turns stepping into big roles. How do you all prepare to be able to step back and then step forward when you need to, when you've got so many different playmakers?
I think it's just I don't know. We don't do much to prepare. It's just it just feels like everyone kind of has like less weight on their shoulders, so everyone feels a little bit more relaxed and is willing to let their teammates do it. And we all have a lot of trust in each other. So. Yeah, I think we all just kind of know what the right thing to do is, and whoever's in the right space, we just let them do it, and we just distribute the workload as much as we possibly can.
The D-line seemed to have Rhino on the ropes for much of the game. From your perspective on the sideline for those D points, does that a function of how many different defenders Ring can keep throwing out and how efficient they are on the turnover, or is there some other magic to it?
Yeah, I think it was our prep. It was our pressure and our preparation for this game. We knew they wanted to just huck a lot, so we kind of backed them a lot and forced them to do 1,000 throws, and that made them uncomfortable because we had a lot of pressure. And when they did try to force those hucks upwind, especially, we just ate them up. So, yeah.
Well, thanks a lot. Congratulations on making the final, Ryan. Ooh.
Yeah, Ryan. Oh, that's my name. No.
Right. Yeah. And back to you, Keith.
Thanks so much, Ryan and Edward. Really a wonderful performance on the part of Ring of Fire. They look at the top of their game. That's exactly where they will need to be. They want to take home a national title. Rhino struggled against the dominant performance of Ring of Fire. Ring of Fire wrapping up Ulti-World semifinal coverage in the men's division. It's the mixed divisions finishing up just behind us now. We greatly appreciate the folks who have joined us and supported us. Again, if you want to support our work, check out ultiworld.com/subscribe. For all the folks here at Ulti-World, all of our reporters and staff helping out, including the production crew, they have been just soldiers helping us get through it. Ryan McHugh, Aiden Shapiro, Charlie Eisenhood, and Dana Matz in the production booth, and our camera team doing the thankless work, Maylien Converse, Tyler Glasgow, Sophie Wang, Lucia Way, Joe Marmerstein, Hugo Souter, Joe Del Nero, and Kyle, all doing the great work, and for my co-commentators here, so much thank yous. Special thank you to my son, Miles. I love you. I can't wait to see you when I get home. Folks, it has been a pleasure having you here with us. Enjoy the finals. Ring of Fire 15-8. They'll be there, will you?